We've just completed something incredible together, the domains of health. 8 key areas that shape our lives and determine how we function, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, socially, intellectually, and so much more. And now it's time for a shift, because awareness alone isn't enough. We are stepping into a new phase. It's time for action. You've heard me say over and over, if we listen, if we learn, it's just theory, but it doesn't come to life until we put action into it. It's time for the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Hello, everybody. Hey, this is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. And here on the channel, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. We're living that limitless life. And limitless living says that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our life. I welcome you back. Welcome you to the show tonight. And whatever platform you are on right now, I welcome you, whether it's TikTok, well, not TikTok, but Twitch, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, Facebook, and then here on YouTube. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Dwain Woode and Be Live. And you are, so I'm glad that you're here. If you have a question, go ahead and put a Q in front of that question, and we'll be happy to get that to you. And then, of course, if you are new, go ahead and put new in the comments, because I want to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And you guys know how we do. I've got my monitors over to the side that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. I've got my Dexcom Clarity Report that we'll see. So let me go ahead and pull that up right now so you can see. So here are my monitors, my Keto Mojo, and my Contour. And then, of course, right down below, you'll see there, that is my, that's my report, my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll take a look at here in just a minute. I see some of our community members out there, and we're going to say hi to them as well as we move into the show. I'm excited about this one. This is a good one. If you have not done so, you know that we have been on our MOVE campaign. Right, our MOVE campaign is what we're calling it. We completed our 100-day walk to consistency, which concluded last week. And this week, we are into our strength, strategy, and mindset series, which is something that we're building on what we did before. If you've not done so yet, you want to make sure you get out there and you want to make sure that you get involved, because this is going to be one of the key pillars of our the new phase that we're heading into, this MOVE idea. We'll take a look at my blood sugars, but I want to pull up for you. The series that we just completed, and then of course the series that we are heading into, or a series that we just started, is our okay, here we are. So the series that we just completed is our 100-day walk to consistency. Okay, and this was week 14 that we had, and we had 100 videos, 100 episodes, 9 episodes in our bonus week, which was our Bridge to Mastery. And then, of course, let me pull up for you our new series that we are in, which is called Strength, Strategy, and Mindset. Okay, so this is where we are. We want to make sure that you join us, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about this as we get into our show, because the MOVE campaign is a very important part of what we do as we set ourselves up for success. So we'll talk more about that. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars, and let's go ahead and do that. So here is what my blood sugar is. Let's get that. Boom. So this is what my blood sugar is right now. This is my my Freestyle Libre, and I'm looking at this number or this graph that you see right there. That is my blood sugar. You see the white squiggly line that's there, and we'll get a better idea of what those numbers are here in a minute when we look at the Dexcom report. But you'll see for most of the day, we've kind of been hanging a little bit above, yeah, right there, hanging a little bit above 100, probably up to about 130, maybe 140 in the early morning. And then right about 11 or 12, kind of moving below 100 and kind of hanging there over the rest of the day. So let's go ahead and let's pull up. Here is my, here's my Dexcom, and let's do this. And what I like about this is I can actually put my finger on it and you'll see. So yeah, so right what I said about 140, 150 or thereabouts. And there we are. We see we've been hanging in the low 115s or low 100s, okay? And so that's where we've been hanging there right now. So go ahead and if you've not been kind of tracking us, if you've not been paying attention to all those things in terms of our online, go ahead and do that. And then I love to show these numbers because they are an indication of what's going on in my body. As you heard me say, I love to know what different things are doing to my body, and a big part of what they're doing shows up there in the blood sugar. So, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at my monitor. So over here I have my Keto Mojo, and I've got my contour. So I've got brown is for blood sugar, and then of course blue is for ketones. Let's go ahead and grab strips for my contour, and then let's grab my container, and here is a Lancet. I'll grab 2 of those out because I want to I want to make sure that I don't have to stick myself twice, and if I do, it's okay because because there it is, right? But we'll take a look at that. Boom. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open these up first because I'm not going to put the strip in. So let's do this. If I can get that open, right? So boom. Okay. So here is. Well, let's go ahead and do it. I'll put that one in, and at the same time, I'm going to go open this and keep it off to the side. This is my ketone, so I'll have that over here, and then here is the strip for the contour. All right, so here we are. All right, and then let's go ahead and grab a Lancet, open that up, and I'm gonna, let me put that up so you can see. That's the Lancet right there, and I'm gonna use the same finger I've been using. I think this one is getting kind of calloused as well. Let's see. Ow, if that was a good enough. Yep, there we go. Gave me a good drop of blood. And let's get this started as well. Boom. What do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? So I've not been fasting since Friday. So 99 blood sugar on the contour, on the Keto Mojo, 109, and then of course here you see this is the Freestyle Libre. Let's go ahead and get this out and get a strip in there. Okay, and we'll get a drop. I think we have enough. Okay, so get that one started. All right, so what do you think that's going to be? And so here we are. So 109 and 95, and ketones are 0.2, right? Which is, I guess I expected that. 0.2. Remember, ketones that are less than 0.5 are considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above that considered therapeutic ketosis. If we look at what's been going on blood sugar wise over the last several days since we ended our fast, you see my glucose management indicator is a 5.8 with an average blood sugar of 104. I am in target right here 94% of the time, with target being 70 to 180. And if I look at my days over the course of the last several days, let's go back to when we broke the fast, which was here So that was about three. Was that? So 3 to 4 days ago. And so we were riding in the. Actually, we broke the fast earlier, right? Because I cooked Thursday night. So in the 80s, and I think the next day we got up to maybe 150. Right, 150, 140s, 130s, and then 150, 156. This was on Saturday. 150s. That's around lunchtime, and this was we had folks over, so it got up to 160. So I cooked and we ate, and so 160 on Saturday. I think that's the highest it has gotten since. Yeah, so that was the highest that it got. Here we're in the lower 100s. And then, of course, today, 150, and I think, oh, this one got up a little higher, so up to 183. That was early this morning, and that was a pronounced effect, right? So coming out of being about 130, and as you know, in the mornings, typically when I brush my teeth, I get that spike. And because it started a little higher, right, of course, the spike was a little higher. Usually I'm starting down in the usually starting down in the 80s or 90s. And so when it spikes up, it'll spike up to, I don't know, 130, 125, 130. And so here we started up at 116. And so when it spiked up, it went up to actually that one went up to 170 to 180. And then of course started coming back down. And we had lunch. What did I have for lunch? I had chicken breast, grilled chicken breast, and broccoli, by the way. All right, grilled chicken breast and broccoli. And you'll see that we didn't really have any spike from that. So we we went lower, right? So right before lunch, 126, and then continue to drop. And so I do one meal a day, so I am probably not going to have anything else today. That would have been my one meal that I had, and we'll see what that shows as we go into the rest of the evening and into tomorrow. All right. So let's go ahead and let's say hello to some of our community members. And I see Teresa and I see Cornelia out there. So let me pop over. Let's see. Let's do this one. And so it said Teresa says hi. Hey, Dr. Woode and everyone. Hey, Teresa, how are you? Let's go back here. And then Cornelia says hi to everyone. And then Jennifer said hi to you all. Hey, Jennifer, how are you doing? Glad that you all are here in this space. So let's go ahead and let's hop over and let's talk about our topic for tonight. And let me do one thing here really quickly. Okay. And so, as you know, we have been walking through this path of diabetes reversal and this path of improved metabolism. That's our goal. That's what we've been doing. And this past series has been an amazing one. As you heard me say at the top of the show, that we completed an amazing task. So one of the questions I get asked often is the interaction of the mindset things that we do and our metabolism. And I've had, as a matter of fact, I had I've had patients over the years. Let me just say that. I was going to talk about a particular patient, but I'm going to combine them into a group of patients. Right? So a group of patients, which we'll call one patient. So often I have people who come to see me in the office, and when they show up, I go through with them the things that we talk about. Right? What I do in my office often mirrors what I do here. What I do here mirrors what I do in my office in terms of the conversation. Because over the course of time, I've taken care of now thousands of patients over 20 years of managing diabetes and metabolism and seeing how people function and actually seeing myself and understanding how I work. What I've realized is that for most people, Their struggle with diabetes and metabolism have absolutely nothing to do with the disease. I want you to listen to me. So their struggle with their blood sugar and their struggle with their weight and their struggle with their heart disease and their struggle with their cholesterol and fatty liver, it doesn't really have anything to do with the disease process at all. The disease process is there and it's running its course. And the thing that impacts the disease process is all the stuff around it. The fact that mom is sick and she's in the hospital, and so we're running down to see her and we're just grabbing whatever we can. The fact that I'm going through a divorce and I'm so stressed that the only thing that I have to calm myself is the food. Or the fact that I have a new job, or I've been promoted, or I have all these responsibilities at work because, this person has left and I'm missing a person here and we're short at work. And so I end up working 50, 60-hour weeks and I'm not getting rest. Notice that has absolutely nothing to do with the disease. It has everything to do with the life around us. And so as we have gone through the last mini-series on the domains of health, our life is impacted. Our life is impacted by all of those things. So it's important, as we are talking about how do we manage the disease, it's important that we have a good idea of the things around us that can cause us to get derailed and can cause us to get into the position where we wake up every day and we're doing things that are making our disease process worse, causing it to cause other detriments in our body, struggles and complications and downstream things that we sometimes have a difficulty in reversing. And so if we're going to be in the space where we want to make sure that we are doing what we need to do, then we've got to understand the vehicle that is taking us on the path has nothing to do with the disease process itself. I want you to hear me what I'm saying. It's not that the disease doesn't do what the disease does. It's not that diabetes doesn't cause retinopathy, or diabetes doesn't cause us to have issues with kidneys, or diabetes doesn't cause us to have issues with neuropathy and erectile dysfunction, and all the other complications. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the influencer, the thing that drives the disease most often, has nothing to do with the pathology of the disease, but it has to do with the person and the things that are going on around them that are causing them not to be able to handle and manage the disease itself. And so as we have gone through the last series on the domains of health, it's important for you to understand that managing all of those, think of that wheel that we keep talking about, managing all of those different areas of your life will have a profound impact on how your diabetes, how your weight, how your fatty liver, how your high blood pressure, how your hypertension, so high cholesterol, how your risk factors for heart disease, and all of those are impacted by all the other areas that we talked about, the domains of health. Okay? So that's great. And I love that we understand that. I love that we got that, love that we got through that series. But now it's time for a pivot. It's time for us to turn the corner, if you will. It's time for us to begin looking at some other things. Because why do we struggle? Right? Because now we understand all of the domains. So why do people struggle with disease processes? Why do we struggle to get control? So many people get a lot of knowledge. They get inspired, like you guys watch me, and I get messages about how this episode it touched me, and that was exactly what I was feeling. And we get inspired. And we even start strong. But we struggle to stay consistent. And the question is why? And usually it's because there's not a structure. There's not a plan for how we keep this going. I want you to think about your house or some of the things that you do at your job. If you showed up at your job and you just randomly did things, if you showed up at your house, you guys are trying to buy a house, or you're trying to buy a car, or you're trying to save for a trip, and you're just randomly doing things, guess what? That house may not materialize. You may not get the car, and you may not go on that trip. Why? Not because you didn't want to go on the trip, not because you don't want a new house, not because you don't have a vision for a new car. You don't go on the trip, you don't get the car, you don't get the new house because you didn't have a plan for how you're going to do it. Because there's no structure. You've heard me say rhythm, alignment, and structure. Rhythm, alignment, and structure. People don't fail. People don't get what they want. People don't not get what they want because they don't have desire or vision. Not even because they don't have knowledge. They don't get it because they don't have structure. There's no sustainable plan to help them move in that direction, to live out the things that they want, live out the things that they've learned. But what if I told you that everything that we have been doing has been building to this moment, building to the time when we say, okay, now I've got the knowledge, I've got the mindset, I got some friends now, so my social pillar is good. I've got some other things going on, right? I understand what you're telling me. I understand that I've got to deal with my emotions. I've got some things in place. I understand now that I've got to deal with my mentation, the way I look at the world. I understand now. What do we do? And so what I want to do is I want to introduce you to a very simple concept that will put some structure to the things that you're doing, that will give you a path to walk down, and it's called the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. The Limitless Living Health Action Plan. If you've ever wondered how to tie everything together, the fasting, the walking, your meals, your strength training that we're doing right now, by the way, on our new series, the mindset that we're doing, this is it right here. So I want you to think about a house. Imagine that you have a health house and your home is the base, your foundation. But the house doesn't have good pillars. Then what happens is the house begins to shift, begins to move. And so what we're going to introduce are seven strong pillars. We're going to walk through them one at a time. We're going to show you how the transformation happens as it brings us. Some science behind some of it, and why this is more than just a plan. It is a lifestyle blueprint. I want to pause there for a minute, because I'm not interested in giving you a diet. One of the questions I get asked often in the office is, can you tell me what to eat? Can you give me a diet plan? Can you give me, what are the foods that I can eat? I'm not interested in giving you foods. I'm not interested in giving you a diet. I'm not interested in telling you what to eat. What I'm interested in doing is I'm interested in giving you a blueprint, if you will, that you can now take and you begin implementing. Now, here's an interesting thing. So you're watching me, and you may be, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years old, whatever your age is. And for all of your adult life, you have been making decisions, one after the other. Where to live, what job you should take, how much money you should save, what kind of car you should drive, what kind of clothes you should have, what music to listen to. You've been doing that all the time. Now, some of those decisions that you made, you're like, man, this right here, this was the best. If I had to do this again, I would do it all over just like this. And then there's some decision you're like, yeah, not that one, though. That was like the worst decision I ever made in my life, right? So I've got some of those, and I'm sure you have some as well. But every decision that you made based on information. Whatever information you had at the time, whether it was good information or bad information, you looked at it and you decided, okay, I'm going to do what I need to do based on this information right here. And you made the decision. And so what I want to give you is a lifestyle blueprint. I want to give you some pillars, some that you've heard already. We're going to put a little different spin on it so that you can then say, okay, this is the path that we need to go down. We've been in our space talking to several people over the years about for instance, when we moved here, okay, where are we going to work? Like what part of town? Are we going to get a building? What do we need in the office? What kind of credentialing do we need? So there's actually a person who does credentialing, right? You give them your stuff and they do all the credentialing. And so when we first started, when I decided to come down, they handed me a piece of paper and it had all these little check boxes. And I want you to think about it. If you're getting ready to move to another city, there's a checkbox. If you are a medical student or resident, right? When you are doing your ranking, there's a checkbox. If you go to your job, and you are getting orientation, there's a little checklist. You got to get your ID. You got to get this. You got to show up at this time. These are the meetings. This is right. So you get all that stuff. And it sometimes surprises me that in every other area of our life, we have checkboxes. We think nothing about it. We love checkboxes because it tells us exactly what we need to do. But in our lives, in our personal lives, we just kind of do it randomly. And so I want you to think about that idea of the limitless living house and the pillars that are in that house to hold it up. And then the check boxes, the checklist of things that you've got to do to keep those pillars functioning appropriately. Now, when I get on the airplane, sometimes what gives me comfort, and I like to fly. I mean, I'm not one of the ones who don't like to. I like to fly. But one of the things that gives me comfort is I know that there are some guys in there and gals, and they got a checklist. They're like engine, poof. Okay, communication, poof. Okay, we got this. I don't know what they do for flying, but I'm just going through my list in my head. And they're checking off the box. I don't want my pilot to just come running in, run down the gangway, hop into the chair, put on his headphones, close the door and say, come on, let's go. That's no, not at all. Get your checklist out, dude. Get your pad and your paper and go through the list. Check it off. Check everything off. Do it twice. And so each of the pillars that we're going to talk about is a load-bearing wall at your house. And if we don't do well with any of the pillars in the limitless living house, then it causes a problem for us downstream. So what we want to do is we want to walk through these pillars, and we'll come back and we'll do more discussion, in-depth discussions about these. But this is the bare list. Now, this will evolve. We'll give different nuances to it. We'll talk more about them. But they are simple things that you can do right now without any investment of money, without any extra time. Now, that's an interesting one, right? So I'm going to leave that out there, but we're going to talk about that here in a minute. But that sets you up for success. You ready? Let's walk through it. And the very first one is one that you have heard before, and it is walking. So we're talking about the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Now, walking falls into a category of two things that we're going to talk about here tonight. Walking is how I restarted my health life. My wife said to me, let's go walk. Walking is how you can restart your health life. Walking is free. Walking is simple. I'm not talking about running. I'm not talking about jogging. I'm not talking about getting on an elliptical. I'm not talking about, well, unless you want to get on an elliptical. I'm not talking about getting a treadmill. You don't have to get a gym membership. If you are able to walk, walking. Right? We'll make a caveat here in just a minute. I'm talking about simply getting up and going to the mailbox, coming back inside. Getting up, walking around the house, come back inside. Walking down the street, come back inside. Walking. And over the last 100 days, 109 days, we went on a campaign of walking. We went on a campaign to teach ourselves consistency. We went on a campaign to teach ourselves self-efficacy. And the idea there is that when you walk, it is low impact. It is free, no investment of money. It is as intense as you want it to be. You can walk 2 minutes, you can walk an hour, you can walk 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever number of hours it is. We're going to make some recommendations as we go through on how we should walk. But walking, number one. Studies show that walking increases insulin sensitivity. Right? Words that mean that your blood sugars get better. Words that mean that your body is more able to manage the resources that it has. Words, insulin sensitivity, words that mean that your metabolism gets better. It lowers your cortisol level. It triggers fat burning, so weight goes down. Walking trains your body. It trains your discipline. It trains your mind. It clears mental fog. It lowers blood glucose level, and it builds momentum. So why walking? Because it's simple. Why walking? Because it is something that most people can do. Now here's the caveat. And so some of you are watching me right now and you say, wait a minute, Dr. Woode. I've got a bad back. I got bad feet. I've got neuropathy. I have bad balance. I'm in a wheelchair. And you've got all these different things that are going on. And yes, so for you, there are some other things that you may have to do, and we'll talk about those here in a minute when it comes to the other moving part of what we're talking about. But for everybody else, walking is doable. I had a lady I was talking to recently, and I said to her, she said, I got to start walking. Okay, I said, sure. When are you going to start? She said, well, maybe next week. So I said, why not today? She said, when I get home, I want to do something else. I said, well, how much does it cost you to walk? I said, do you have sidewalks at your house? She said, yeah. I said, is this safe? Because I don't want you walking on the side of the road, right? She said, no, I've got sidewalks. There's a nice area. I said, well, what's preventing you from going to walk? She said, well, when I go home, I sometimes sit down. I want to watch TV. I, call my friends. And this goes back to my comment that I started making earlier. I said, it doesn't cost you any extra time. You don't need any extra time. One of the biggest reasons why people don't walk is that we often think that we've got to have lots of time. Like if I'm going to walk, man, if I don't have a half an hour, if I don't have 45 minutes, I can't go. Not the case. If you got a minute, because here's the thing. Anything extra, anything more than you're doing right now is better than what you're doing. If you're not walking, right? If you're not getting any activity, if you're not moving, a minute is better than what you're doing now. So you don't need 35 minutes. You don't need 45 minutes. All you need is to get up and begin moving. Walking. Number one. So we recommend that you, as much as possible, that you shoot for, and we'll talk about more about this, we'll shoot for 10,000 steps. That's our beginning. That's the beginning, y'all. Don't say Dr. Wood said we're going to 10,000. No, that's the beginning. Because the studies show that if we can do more, all those benefits happen. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do more than 10,000. I'm saying that's what we're shooting for right now. If we can do more, then great. But it trains us. It trains us to do all of those things, trains us to, like insulin sensitivity and weight loss and on and on and on. So walking, pillar number one in our house, in Limitless Living House, is walking. That's the first step in our health action plan. People say, well, where do I start? What do I need to start to do for my weight, for my blood pressure, for my blood sugar? Where do I need to start to get my blood sugar under control? Start walking. You can do that right now. As a matter of fact, you can put your headphones on, listen to me as you go. Start walking. Tomorrow morning, you can get up, start walking. Tonight, well, depending on where you are, start walking. Sometimes I'll walk around my house. Start walking. Walking in the house. Living room, dining room, kitchen, family room. Walk in the house. Walking. Start walking. Train your body. Train your mind. Number one, walking. Number two is is what you've heard me say before, balanced bites. Balanced bites. This is not a diet. Like I said, I'm not interested in giving you a diet. This is a new philosophy. This is a new thinking process. This is a new way of eating. Just like, here's a good one. So in your life, you've had to change your thought process about lots of stuff. Your bank changed their policies. You have to get used to the new policies. The DMV, the driver's license folk, they changed the policy. You have to get used to the new policy. At your job, they changed the policies. They changed the procedures. They changed how things are done. You have to get used to the new thing. And this right here is a powerful thing that you can do. Not for the job, not for the people, not for the folks outside there, not for anybody else. This is something for you. So this philosophy is worth learning for yourself. There are 1,440 minutes in a day. 1,440. And aside from sleeping, most of us give all of that away to somebody else. Here's an opportunity for you to take some of that time and learn something for yourself. It's not a diet. Don't ask what foods can I eat and what foods can't I eat. I don't have a list for you. But if you think about this list, then you begin seeing the way, the things, you begin understanding how food can be a medicine for your body. We've talked about the list. Whole foods. That's right. Foods as close as possible to the natural. Minimize the processing. Goes along with whole foods. Minimize added sugar. Now, in when you see the balanced bite, it says no added sugar, right? And I had someone say to me recently that that it's not possible to have no added sugar, and it is possible first, but it is difficult. It is tough, and I think when I put no added sugar, it became kind of this rule that people thought they were breaking if they had something that had sugar in it. So you remember earlier I said it's not all or none, right? So if you can have 1 minute to walk, you can walk. Yes, same thing here. You've not committed a cardinal sin because you had something with sugar. But understand that if you have stuff with added sugar, then that is something that is not the best. Not that it's wrong, not that it's immoral, not that, it's criminal, it's illegal. It's not any of those things. But the best is no added sugar. You want to focus on lean protein, healthy fats. We're going to come back and make another big push here, specifically when we talk about protein, because in one of our other pillars, we'll be talking about strength training. And if we're going to strength train, if we want to be toned, if we're trying to lower our lean body mass, our lean fat, body fat, then we got to concentrate on protein. And we'll make some comments there in a minute. Okay? Because protein has the highest thermic effect. It literally raises your metabolism when you eat it. Because in order to break protein down, your body has to do a lot of work. When I shifted my concept of balanced bites, right, I no longer needed to count calories. I felt fuller. I felt clearer. I felt in control. Now, in addition to some other things that we're going to talk about that you've been doing with us, but when you eat balanced bites, when you eat in that way, when you eat in that thought process, your body literally opens up its ability to manage the things that we talk about in terms of what leads us down to chronic diseases. Yep. So balanced bites. Number three in the pillar, strength training. Strength training. Now we just started our new series called Strength, Strategy, and Mindset. Strength, Strategy, and Mindset. That's the new series that we're doing. We're on day number 2. Catch us tomorrow for day number 3. We show how resistance builds resilience. Resistance builds resilience. So tension under control. Tension under control. When we have metabolically active muscles, those muscles burn more calories, they produce more insulin sensitivity, they burn more fat, they produce more stability in our legs, in our arms, balance, they're able to carry us better, you stand taller. So all those things come because we are strengthening, we're building, we're growing those muscles. Now, I'm not talking about you getting, bulked up. That's not what we want at all. Right? Unless that's what you want to do. Unless you want to get into bodybuilding, right? But that's not what we're talking about. So we're building, we're toning. Strength training improves insulin sensitivity. It prevents injury. It boosts your mood. It increases your energy. So we are looking for ways to get those muscles active. And let me be clear, we're not talking about bodybuilding. It's about becoming metabolically stronger with your age, as you age. Muscle mass is a key organ, muscles, for longevity. Let me say that again. When you strength train, you are extending your life. Other than just the things that we talk about in terms of blood sugars and weight, and right? So muscles, when you have larger, more active, metabolically active muscles, you are literally extending your life. It protects against diabetes. It protects against heart disease. It protects against frailty. That's why, we want people as they age to get moving. And if you look at the show that we've been doing, and as you follow us over the course of Strength, Strategy, and Mindset, you will see that we're providing the exercises, and we're also giving you modifications if you have poor balance, if you have a weight issue, if you need to hold on to a chair, if you need to brace up against a wall. All of that's there. So it's not just, okay, well, this is a 25-year-old and, right? So, because sometimes I get down on that floor and I got to get myself up. So that's all, right? Muscle mass is a key organ for longevity. It protects against diabetes and all those things. When I started strength training, and so my son and I have been doing it. By the way, a great way to connect with your young people. Right, so we started doing it, and I just love it. I mean, I just get out there and we're doing it 3 days. We're doing 3 days together. I'm doing it every day because, of course, I've got to do the show. And then there are some things that I'm working on myself. So my sleep deepened, my cravings dropped. Yeah. My posture changed. Right? So all of those things. So number 3, right? So strength training. Next is something that we've been doing here, and I continue to encourage you, and that is fasting. Fasting is my secret weapon, y'all. Fasting, I use fasting as a scalpel to do all kinds of things. I use fasting as a scalpel to get my weight down. Like this weekend, let me see, what was my weight? Did I show you the weight? This weekend, so my weight went up, it was 190. Remember on Friday, I think it was 186, so up 4 pounds, up 5 pounds. That's all the food that we ate, right? Remember I cooked? We cooked, people came over, right? So my scalpel this week, right? So I'm cutting that out. It changes my blood sugar changed. My body's ability to heal changed. There are things I ate this weekend and things that I've been eating that I could not eat before for fear of my blood sugars going into the 200s and 300s. Notice I didn't say to the 100, 150, 160. I said the things that I eat, that I was eating, my blood sugars would skyrocket into the 200 and 300s. And I'm able to eat those without my blood sugars going to 200 and 300. Because my body is becoming healed. And this is a large part due to the fasting that we're doing. Fasting triggers autophagy. It triggers cellular repair. It reduces insulin resistance. My A1C, and you guys saw it was 5.8, I think, or 5.6. No, sorry, no, not 5. It was 6.6. Did not ever reach that until I started fasting. Off of insulin. Could not do that until I started fasting. Weight for years was in the 280, 260. Started fasting, and for the first time in 20, actually, no, not 20, probably 15 years, my weight went below 200. And that's what you're seeing there. 190 today. The real life impact of fasting is incredible. If you want to jumpstart your metabolism, and we're talking about this pathway, right? The Limitless Living Action, a health action plan. If you want to jumpstart your metabolism, if you want to get off of some medication, if you want to regain metabolic control, start fasting. And we'll come back and we'll do more conversation about that. The next is rest. I know rest is a bad word. People think when they're resting that they're wasting time. People think that when they're resting, they're not being productive. They're being lazy. They're stealing time. But sleep is not optional. Sleep is repair. It's where the magic happens. It's where your body gets into the rhythm of regulating so many of your hormones. The first set, of course, your hunger hormone and your satiety hormone, ghrelin and leptin. It regulates your insulin. Right? So all of a sudden, we're not craving anymore. All of a sudden, we begin losing weight. Can you imagine sleeping to lose weight? Right? Because when I sleep, then my leptin and ghrelin don't make me hungry. When I sleep, my cortisol goes down, so my blood sugar goes down. When I sleep, my body begins to regulate insulin, so my appetite is not stimulated. I don't have those cravings. My body stops storing information or stops storing energy, so I'm losing weight, literally losing weight while I'm sleeping. When I finally began honoring sleep, I was able to lose weight. I would be up at night eating. Not because I was hungry, but because I was tired, didn't want to go to sleep. I was stressed. And we don't go through all the whole thing, but you understand. When you sleep, you have the ability to handle a lot more. You become very resilient. And that's an important word that we'll talk about. Number next is what we call mental mastery. Mental mastery. And mental mastery has to do with a lot of the things that we talk about here. This is the mindset. This is your focus. This is your internal coach. This is the way you talk to yourself. This is this idea of neuroplasticity. What you repeat becomes a reality. Once I mastered my thoughts, I could finally say no to snacks, yes to working out. I could stay centered when life got difficult, when life got hard, because I had worked on this. I'd worked on the ability to look at something and be in discomfort because of an emotional thing that was going on without resorting to buffering behavior. Because of mental mastery. So a lot of what we do, a lot of what we talked about when we talked about the pillars of health, when we talk about the triggers, habits, emotions, access, and taste, when we talk about the COPE model, clarify, observe, pause, and execute, a lot of that has to do with the vision that we have, the way we see the world. And that all comes through the mastery of our mentation, mental mastery. You got to get that. We have to work on that, which is why we educate, we empower, and we encourage. And then structure and plan. Structure and plan. Motivation is fickle. A lot of you after this show, they're going to be motivated. You're like, man, Dr. Woode said he laid out the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Man, he gave us those. I'm going to be doing that. Boom, 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 boom. Right? That's going to happen. And then life happens. And if there's no structure, then the motivation is gone and the plan goes out the window. Structure is fickle, but motivation is fickle, but structure is reliable. This is your calendar. This is your prep. This is your accountability. This is coming to the show. This is joining the community. This is having an accountability partner. This is about having an accountability group. Habits anchored to structure are 80% more likely to stick. Behaviors anchored to structure are 80% more likely to stick. If you have something you want to do and you put it on your calendar, you have a friend who's going to remind you, you have a group that you meet with, you have a show that you come to, then you're 80% more likely to keep doing that thing than if you don't have any of that in place. So a lot of what we will talk about is what is the structure, right? We're talking about what are those things that are in the health action plan. Health action plan. Theory is great. Listening to the videos are great. Being here on the show is great, but it does not take effect. It does not get infused with power and with the flight that you need until you begin putting it into practice, and your structure that you have in place that you're going to create is what you need for that. My success skyrocketed once I stopped winging it and started planning like my life depended on it. Because you know what? Literally, it does. The things that I do, the things I want to do in my life, the things I want to do in the domains of my health, those things get better when I plan. When I sit down and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. Now, here's the thing, right, about planning. There are some things that I can't do because I'm planning, right? So I used to somebody would say, hey, can you come speak for us? Yes. I go, well, I didn't look at my calendar. So now I look at the calendar. It's like, oh, man. Right? So now I told them yes. So I'm committed for that. But there's this other thing that I was supposed to be doing that I had planned. And now I've got to change that. Now, if you ask me something, I don't say, hold on, right? Or send me a message. Got to look at my calendar. In fact, what I started doing, honestly, is I started saying, okay, I have to just check with my wife. And I asked my wife, hey, do we have anything on that day? Right, so planning. So I've got, and I think I've mentioned to you guys, I use Notion. So everything I do goes into Notion. Everything I do, every video that I make goes into Notion. Let me see, can I pull that up and show you guys what part of my Notion looks like? Let's see, let's do this one. All right, so here it is. I'm gonna pull it up really quickly. Right, so I'm planning, right? So these are the videos, right? When it was played, when I was playing, how it was played, what's the video, what the thumbnail, what the transcript is, right? So when I started doing this for my life, right, it became incredible. And so I have something like this, and I'll see. Can I show that to you? Let me see. I want to make sure I don't have any things I don't want you guys to see, right? So I've got a thing that's called, what is it called? My brainstorming. I've got my brainstorming list. I can show you this one, at least the top part of it. So I got my brainstorming, my scratch list, stuff that I want to do. On the side, you see I've got my dashboard. I've got my brainstorming list. I've got my philosophy, right? The things that I want to teach, the things that are regulating my life. I've got one that's called Stuff I'm Learning. My notes from learning. So when I watch a video, right? How to. So things that I want to know to do. Okay, I learned how to do that. Well, I don't want to forget it. Because how many times have you done that? Where you went, you found something, you have an idea of some project you have or some problem you're having, and you go and you find it, and then you do it, and it works. And then it comes up again. You're like, man, how did I do that last time? Well, hey, there it is. Right? So all of that is there. And once I became organized, once I started putting structure, my life got much, much better. So then how do we put it all together? Right? So how do we put it all together? Let's see. Putting it all together. So let's zoom out and let's take a overview. So each pillar is not separate. Each pillar works together. All of them are holding up the house. And we gave the example of the Limitless Living house, right? They're all holding the house up. They're not working by themselves. Your mental mastery helps you to stick to your fasting schedule. The balanced bites improves your sleep. Structure makes sure that you walk, and that happens on a daily basis. Strength training boosts your mood and keeps your cravings low. The Limitless Living Action Plan gives us rhythm, it gives us alignment, and it gives us structure. Rhythm is, what is the tenure of your life? What is the course of your life? What is the general bent of your life? Where are you heading? What do you say you want to do? That's the rhythm. That's what I want my life to be. Alignment is, are the things I'm doing, the behaviors that I am engaged in, the thought processes that I have, are they taking me in the direction of what I say my rhythm is? And do I have some structure, rhythm alignment structure? Do I have something in place, tools, behaviors, habits that I've created, a community that I have that are holding me accountable and keeping me heading in that direction? Rhythm, alignment, and structure. This is what we need. We do this on our job. We do this in every other area of our lives. But we don't take the time to do it when it comes to our health. And this, y'all, this is just the beginning. Because when you are able to put this in place, when you follow this path, when you follow this plan, the benefits that you get. You heard me say that when we fast, all of the things that happen are just side effects. So when you begin following this health action plan, when you are consistent with it, you will find that there are so many benefits that it's like a domino effect. They're like, man, I didn't know life could be like this. I didn't know my health could be like, I didn't know my relationships could be like this. Over the next 7 weeks, several weeks, I said 7, but over the next several weeks, we're going to come back and we're going to do an in-depth dive into each of the pillars. You'll get an episode, some mini masterclass, one worksheet, one something, a challenge a week. By the end, you won't just know what to do. You'll be doing it. The health action plan is a way of dealing with our health. One of the things I love about limitless living is I can take limitless living, I can apply it to so many different areas of my life. Here we're talking about health, but you can apply it to your finances, to your relationships. You can apply it to your career goals. You can apply it across the board because the principles are timeless. They are keystone principles. What that means is that life rests on the concepts that we're moving through as we talk about limitless living. And here we get to look at this as it relates to our health. And what I want you to do is I want you to start by thinking about which pillar do you need most right now? Which one of those do you think is your pillar that you need to work on the most? Is it that you need to start walking? Do you need to add some strength training? Do you need to work on your balanced bites? Do you need to work on the food that you're eating? Do you need to look at how your fasting schedule is? Do you need to start fasting? Do you need to get more rest? Do you need to work on your mindset and the way you see the world? Do you need structure in your life? Which one is yours? We're going to start walking through them together. But you can also begin thinking, okay, which one do I need to work on? How do I get myself in the place where that begins to move? Picture yourself 90 days from now. You've implemented the pillars. What does your life look like? How do you feel when you wake up? What are you no longer struggling with? What are you no longer carrying? This is not a hack. This is a home. This is not a shortcut. This is a system. And this isn't just health. This is limitless living. All right. So that is the platform. That is the basis of what we're going to be talking about as we move into our next segment of our shows. We've been talking about that. And once again, everything is building. Everything is building. And I want you to come along with us as we move through this space, right? There are some things that you're already doing. We can help refine that. There are things that you're not doing. You're going to figure out, okay, how can I incorporate that into my life? And that is our limitless living, because it is what helps us to move and create the life we have always wanted. All right, so let's go out and I see some of our community members. Let's go back and let's say hello. Let's see. So Steve came on. Steve said, hey, ladies. Jennifer says, hey, Steve. Hi, Doc. Hi, Limitless Living Gang. Jennifer saying, howdy, Gian. Hi, Jennifer. How's your garden? Jennifer said, growing, only had the cool season crops out. Okay, not warm enough for the summer veggies. Gian said, oh, I see. Bowie said, good evening, everyone. Hey, Bowie, how are you? And Gian, hi, Bowie. Thank you, Doctor. Just saying, walking, which I can, rather than running. Yeah, walking. Walking it's free. It has lots of benefits. It helps keep you agile. It burns fat. It improves your metabolism. It improves your insulin resistance. All of that. Bowie says, I've hit 10,000 steps for 8 days straight so far. Woohoo! Get a hand clap and some music for that. And Gian is saying, wow. Cornelia, that's great, Bowie. So I would love a full video about fasting workouts. I'm trying to start strength training and I worry about fasting on the same time. Oh boy, that's a great one. And we will do when we talk about, and remind me, we will do some discussion around that as we get into the strength training. Yes, so that's a very, very good point. And I think, did I do? I don't think I did that yet. Yeah, so when I'm working out, and I work out when I'm fasting, right? So I'm doing this every day, and I will at some point. I think I'm gonna just get my monitor connected to the computer while I'm working out, so you can see what my blood sugars do as I'm doing the workout. So that would be a good one. Sherry Demper, good evening from Brooklyn, New York, in the house. Sherry, how are you? And Boris said particularly about protein timing, and I'm thinking that's related to the fasting workouts. Boris says hi, Sherry, and Julian said limitless living gang house walking, BBST, fasting rest. That's right, mental mindset. Oh, I love it. And then hi, Sherry, awesome. All right, so one of the primary things that I think, that I want you to get is that we're always working on that mindset, right? So our mindset is so important. And the education that we do, the space that we find ourselves, we educate, we empower, we encourage, that triple U formula for success, that is the driving force behind what we do. And you'll see everything that I do in the channel has a component of all of those. Right, so we educate. When I'm here on the show, I'm educating because I'm talking about mindset. When we did our 100-day walk to consistency, then we're talking about mindset. When we're doing our strength training, strength strategy, and mindset, we're changing, we're talking, we're learning, we educate. We empower with the tools that we use, the tools that we're learning. Now we have the health action plan. We've got Balanced Bites, which is a part of the health action plan. We've got the walking series that we did. We've got the strength training series that we did. We've got the fasting shows that we do. All of those are tools that you can apply because they allow us to, in real time, take the things we're learning and bring them into our everyday. So that's great for a Thursday show, but what does that mean for me on Monday morning? What does that look like on Tuesday? What does that look like on the weekend when I'm with my family? That's where the tools come into place or come into play. And then the encouragement comes with the community because it is so, I'm telling you that community helps you move through this space with, I'm not going to say with ease, but successfully. They help pull you, push you, allow you to lean. So health is so important. You want to make sure that you're setting yourself up for the best possibility of success. And the community is amazing. So we educate, we empower, and we encourage with the things that we eat, with the shows that we do, and with the community that you're a part of. One of the things that we've not mentioned in a while is the idea that lots of what happens in our lives, and this is going to be very important when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our mental mindset, mental mastery, when it comes to the pillars of our health. 91.4% of the things that we worry about never come true. 91.4% of the things that we put our energies into in terms of worry and depression and stress and so forth, 91.4 never come true. So we end up wasting a lot of that energy. And we can put that energy into a place. Now, one of the things that I talk to my son about is that fear is not the absence, not fear, but courage is not the absence of fear, but courage is the ability to act even in the face of fear. And so we are pushing, we are striving in our mindset mastery. We are striving to be, not to be fearless, to be courageous. And to not spend all of our time worrying about the 91.4%. We'll talk more about that at another time. But I'm so glad that you are here. Glad that I have the opportunity to come and hang out with you. We will be back later this week as we do our fasting check-ins, which will start on Wednesday night. I want to encourage you, please, if you've not done so yet, you've got to make sure that you join us for our morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's about 30, 35 minutes. We just started. We're on day number 2. Tomorrow, day number 3 of our strength, strategy, and mindset. You get to see me pull my shirt up. You get to see my belly. We're doing some toning, right? So you get to see that, and we're going to be looking at this down the road as we continue, because I may have not told you, but I'm working on my beach body, right? I'm chiseling and I'm getting some stuff, we're lifting some weights. So we're going to see what that looks like. And we get to talk about the things that are so important in our strength, in our health, but a lot of the things that we learn as we're going through the strength training, and as we learned when we were doing our walking, a lot of that has very, very much correlation in our lives. Okay, so make sure you join us for that. We'll be back Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we'll do our complete review of fasting. On Saturday night, we'll be here with Video from the Vault. Sunday morning, This Week in Review, and then we'll be back here next week as we kick off the next episode of our series in our Health Action Plan, the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. Now, you'll probably hear me just say Health Action Plan, but it is Limitless Living Health Action Plan. We're going to shorten it Health Action Plan as we go forward, but everybody understand that that's implied. We want to make sure, and let me say this to you. I want you to understand that in your space, in your health, it doesn't matter what's happened in the past. There's some complications that came about because of decisions that you did make or you didn't make. That's done. That's behind us. Right now, what limitless living is, that you have right now the ability to make choices moving forward. And I want you to believe that by your behavior, by your decisions, by your actions, and by your consistency, you can chart the course of your health life, of your wellness, and in other areas of your life as well. That's what self-efficacy is. The belief that I can make a change. And you have unlimited potential. And that all comes through limitless living. Because limitless living says, I'm not allowing anything from outside of me or anything from inside me to prevent me from doing what I need to do to be healthy. I'm presenting my best self, my best life, and my best plans. I'm breaking free from boundaries. I'm breaking free from constraints. And I'm showing up and I'm living a limitless life, and I'm going to the next level. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for hanging out with me. We'll have that link up here in just a minute for our community members. We'll see you over there. And for the rest of you, good night. We'll see you at our next episode. Bye-bye.